Welcome back. This is John DeSilva, and this is my channel, John DeSilva Photography. Today's video is going to cover some of the material that was lightly touched on in part one of building your portfolio, and the other items are going to be new items that will help you be successful in building your portfolio. Now, one of the first things you must consider when you're going to build your portfolio is, who is this portfolio going to be for? Who is your audience? Who do you want to work for as a client? Who is it that you maybe want to work for if it's a magazine or a newspaper? So you have to know your audience. Is it going to be local to your area? Is that what you're looking for your audience to be? Is that who is going to be buying your work or you're going to be photographing for? Is it going to be domestic in the United States or whatever country you may live in? Is that going to be your audience, or is it going to be international? Are you going to sell your services or your product to everybody on the planet? I mean, you have to really know who your audience is going to be. Are they going to be young people? Are you targeting young people, old people, parents, just parents? Maybe you're a portrait photographer, family photographer, or baby photographer. That's even narrower, because it's going to be new parents, and then you're going to take photographs of the children as they're growing up. Are you going to be targeting a specific industry? Do you love photographing the food that you cook in your own kitchen, and therefore you're going to be targeting restaurants, hotels, things of that nature? Just is your photography going to be industry specific? Real estate. Are you going to be shooting houses, buildings, things of that nature? Weddings, families, corporate, marketing, fashion. All of these industries have little niches of people and companies that you can do work for. So you really have to know who is going to be your audience. What is your audience for the photography that you like to make? Very important. Is it everything? Do you do all of those things? And if you do all of those things, then your audience is pretty much as wide as it can be. For me, as a travel and wildlife photographer, my audience is pretty wide. Everybody loves travel. They like to see exotic destinations. Most people love animals, especially the exotic ones that they don't get to see on a regular basis. So for me, my audience is pretty wide. And there's also considerations to be made for the audience's financial position, so to speak. There's high-end artists who sell their sculptures and photographs and paintings that are so high priced that they are only for a certain niche of people. And those generally are artists who are well established and make a name for themselves. So your audience can be all over the place, and you don't want it to be that way. You want to know who you're targeting and who falls naturally into the art, the photographs that you want to make. Very important to figure that out first, which goes along with the second point that I'm making, is what photography do you do or will you do? What are your interests? You want to try to match your interests that you have in life. Let's say you love playing sports, or you're a surfer. Well, when I was in photography school, there was a number of people in the class who also were big time surfers. So to be able to love doing surfing and then surf yourself, but then also when you're not in the water and you're on shore, you can photograph the other surfers. So to be able to do two things that you really enjoy doing at the same time is like kismet. It's perfect. That's perfection. If you can pull that off, that's great. That way you'll always be engaged, and it'll just be a natural flow, and you'll constantly be enjoying what you're doing. Now, you have to determine what type of photography you're going to do and build your portfolio around that. Obviously, if it's one thing, if it's weddings, then you need a lot of wedding photography in there from all over, the scope of a wedding, from bridal portraits and the ceremony and reception and dessert parties and getting ready before the ceremony. All these photographs, you need to have your best of the best in your book or on your website or in your promotional materials. Now, as I've told you in the previous video, I have my own promotional materials. I showed them in that video, and I'm going to give you a close-up look right now at my passport that I developed years ago that I can carry around and show and pass out, my promotional cards, things of that nature. So if you look at those and see how they're done, that might give you ideas of what you can do. If you're a wedding photographer, of course, you can make a mock-up of a wedding album and use that to show clients or others that may be interested in your photography. If you're a baby photographer, of course, you can have a little baby book. If you're a commercial or a journalism type photographer, you could do a mock-up of a magazine or a newspaper. There's many ways to present yourself to make it interesting and show your creativity. Now, another idea when you're building your photography portfolio is to look at other people's portfolio, whether it's a book, whether it's prints that you can hold in your hand, or it's online. Of course, today, online portfolios predominate, and you can easily go online and look at many, 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 many portfolios, and you can figure out what you like, what you don't like, what works for you, and that way that'll give you an idea of how to build yours. When you do put up your photos, make sure they flow. They have to flow together. If you have a series of, let's go back to weddings, an image of the bride and or groom getting ready in their hotel room or their home or wherever the ceremony is being held. You have that one, and then you flow into the ceremony, flow into the reception, or anything else in between. Bride with her mom, bride with her dad. Tell a little story in 3 or 4 pictures. That's always good, as long as they're strong images. Of course, they have to be strong images. Of course, you can have your one-offs, your photograph that is singular, strong, tells a story maybe within itself, which most images do, and just keep it that way. You can have a series of photographs or one photograph, but they really should flow. They should not be from subject to different subject, to black and white, to color, to color. They should really flow together. The other one is, of course, I stressed this in the first one. Part 1, I'm going to stress it again. Choose your best photographs. You're very connected to your photographs. Some that you may love and like and think they're the best might not be because of what is actually in the print, in the image, but what it took for you to make that print. I know that there's photographs that I've made that took a long time just to make one exposure. I, for lack of a better word, stalked these older ladies in Spain on a trip to Spain back in 2005. I went to this little village and I saw these very interesting women talking, but every time I went to make a photograph of them, they raised their fans to cover their face. And so I switched lenses, got a long lens, walked around the block, and did a little covert action type of activity there, and made some photographs of them, and they've turned out to be one of my most favorite photographs and big sellers in my line of in my archive. So make sure that you have someone else, you pick your, let's say, strong as 30. For me, on my website, I have 49 of what I consider very strong photographs. Out of the thousands of photographs that I've made in my career, I've got 49 currently, and I change those out frequently. And that's the other suggestion I want to make to you. Get your best 30 and either print them up, put them on your website, but make sure you change them out from time to time. You will, of course, be making new photographs as you progress through your career. So make sure you pull one out every once in a while, pull 2 out, or even add to the number. But you don't want a portfolio in the hundreds of photos. No one's going to look through that. Mine is even at 49 photographs. I'll probably will whittle it down a little bit, and somewhere around 30 to 40. But you don't want too many. It'll get most people will not even get to the end of your collection if you have so many photographs. So you don't want to do that. Always remember, less is more. Less is more. And as I said, refresh your portfolio from time to time, add some new photos, test your website on different platforms. Make sure it looks good on your phone or on a PC. Always make sure your portfolio is displayed in its best possible way. If you do video work, you can include video with your still imagery. But remember too, to keep your website, your portfolio simple. Don't make it complicated, whether it's how you present your images. I know that on a phone, they scroll easier in certain positions than they do in other positions. So always remember that. Keep your font clear and easy to read. That way, you want people to look at your images in the best possible way, your strongest images in the best possible way, so they come away feeling like they saw your great work. So that's today's video. Please like and subscribe. Come back and view all my other videos. They're always up there. Hope you learned something today. Hope I helped, and I'll see you on the next video.